Hello and welcome to another edition of Kickstarter Last Rides. Back and before they blast off, this is Kickstarter Last Rides, issue 11, Fetish Mentors and Kaiju Gods. My name is Mr. Anderson, and I am the advocating voice of written sins, and now indie advocates. That's right, we've changed our names. We changed the name for many different reasons. You can find out why on our site. We are now going by Indie Advocates. For those who didn't know, this is actually the last time we'll be reminding people of that on this show. So welcome to the new Indie Advocates Last Rides. This is issue 11. Let's find out what's on the show today by going to our section right here in our Kickstarter menu, found on both tablets and on your PCs at home in the menu. The menu for those of you on tablets and phones is the three dashes. That'll be located right where this menu is, but it's located on your phone in the same place. And remember, before we start, supporting every Kickstarter only takes a single dollar. $1 can show support, attract attention, help fund projects, support indie comics, and create new worlds. Also, it sends a message to all the people on your friends list that you are backing this, and by default, shows them that you're putting your money where your comics are. Kickstarter for the Independent Creator, 2nd edition, a practical, informative guide to crowdfunding. This is a great way to learn how to have your own Kickstarter get to this point where we can advocate for it, and it's last week. This is the practical guide for crowdfunding, written by Madeline Holling Rising. Now, on today's show, we're going to be going over Multi-Larceny, A Nightmare on Egg Street, Kaiju Gods, and Mentor Search. We're going to start the program right away with Multi-Larceny. Multi-Larceny is a science fiction crime comic of infinitive potential. Multi-Larceny one-shot comic, a story with a science fiction twist. Heroes, victims, villains connected in a race of time and space. This is Multi-Larceny.
Hello, and thank you for checking out our Kickstarter for Multi-Larceny. I am Matt Kuhn, the writer, coming back to Kickstarter as my second comic after successfully fulfilling Digital Forever last year. For Multi-Larceny, I am with the talented artist Bora Urkel on art and Ertan Sehan on color. Multi-Larceny is a one-shot, full-color crime comic that is a crime story of infinite potential. Please enjoy this trailer we have put together to showcase the art and give you a preview of the story. Thank you for your support.
You think this type of thing could really happen? No question that it happens every day.
So how cool did that look? You guys can see that this is definitely an interesting project. You heard the creator himself talk about it. There's not a lot I can really dive into deep on this one. It is a little light on content. It's bare bones, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's just not a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you one more chance to watch the video and hear from the creator and let him sell it one more time. So we do like to give extra time, but there wasn't much I could cover for it. So we're going to give you guys a chance to watch it one more time.
Hello, and thank you for checking out our Kickstarter for Multi-Larceny. I am Matt Kuhn, the writer, coming back to Kickstarter as my second comic after successfully fulfilling Digital Forever last year. For For Multi-Larceny, I am with the talented artist Bora Urkel on art and Ertan Sehan on color. Multi-Larceny is a one-shot, full-color crime comic that is a crime story of infinite potential. Please enjoy this trailer we have put together to showcase the art and give you a preview of the story. Thank you for your support.
Okay, so I'm not going to run that through. I just wanted you guys to hear it one more time. I wanted to give them some extra time. We're going to go on to A Nightmare on Egg Street, which has already funded. Both of these have funded, so that's pretty awesome. Next on our list is pretty quick. Again, there wasn't much of a video. Something sinister is haunting the dreams of local teens in A Nightmare on Egg Street. A Nightmare on Egg Street is, of course, a parody of the famous Freddy Krueger Nightmare on Elm Street story. They do have a quick preview in here that's definitely worth checking out. And this is brought to you by Swapline Comics, which is created by Chris Allen and Kim Roberts. Both Kim and Chris are in comic book creators that have created a number of comics together, including Quark Wars, Quack Wars, Resurrected, Voodoo Curse, Dragonstein, and much, much more. They've teamed up with Juan Felitis to create A Nightmare on Egg Street, the first book in what will become an ongoing series of horror parodies starring scary feathered birds. So keep an eye out for more horror classics from Swapline. They had a new stretch goal, which was for 500. They don't like the Freddy print, which got released. They got some amazing rewards, though. If you check out, you get a print edition, you get magnet, you get a T-shirt. So I'm really digging it. It's creative, it's fun, it's taking something from our childhood. I want to see someone take something from our childhood that wasn't inherently scary and making it scary. Like, what if the Transformers were killing people? I want to see someone do that next. That's a challenge. Find something like the Care Bears and make them go crazy and make them the Hate Bears. So let's see that. I want to see if Swapline can do that. So this is Swapline. There's not much I can say because there wasn't much of a video. You guys know Nightmare on Elm Street. Then you'll instantly know this. You'll be scared of it. And if you're like me, you might use it as therapy to try to get over your fears from childhood because your older sister let you watch a horrible movie you should have never watched when you were very young. We're going to move on to Kaiju Gods. Here we go.
Hey everybody, thank you for taking the time to check out the Kaiju Gods Kickstarter. My name is Alex Madej, the head editor of Kaiju Gods. Kaiju Gods is an upcoming anthology with 14 stories, over 40 creators from all around the world telling original kaiju tales. The reason I wanted to make this anthology was there's something always exciting about kaiju and giant monsters. And even though the phrase kaiju was only coined like around the time of Godzilla, giant strange monsters have always been a part of storytelling. There's just something about giant strange monsters that show up out of unexplained places, whether it's the ocean or a cave or from space, from religion to ancient times. There's always seems to be these giant strange monsters that are part of stories and lore. And when I think about that, that's just always been a part of humanity and storytelling from all places, all civilizations. That really excites me. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to get a collection of some of the greatest minds and my favorite creators together and see what they could do with the concept of giant monsters. I went out and started talking to all the people I know that I wanted to get involved. And it turned out that a lot of people actually had giant monster stories that they wanted to tell, or kaiju tales. I think kaiju means something different to everybody. From maybe being scary to enjoying just the mystery of a new giant creature and not knowing what it could do next. The thing about a book this size is there's a lot of people involved and it costs a lot of money. This money will go towards print costs and distribution costs to have enough copies for us to bring to cons and sell on our websites and on our stores, and to you for backing us. We're very proud of this and we want to get this out. Thank you for checking out our video, and I hope you'll be able to back us and enjoy some kaiju with us.
Now, how cool is that? I mean, definitely an interesting project. Definitely something that we should all be backing. So, I mean, how many of us grew up with Godzilla, right? I mean, for me, it was WPIX on Saturdays and Sundays. I mean, I grew up, I had a black and white TV when I was a little younger, because I'm a little older than some people, or my parents weren't rich enough to have color sets in every room. You can look at it however you want to look at it. I like to believe that I'm just old. And we got color TVs. I mean, there was a lot worse. But I remember watching a lot of these. The point of this is that I watched a lot of these in black and white. And it was kind of cool. You know, I didn't even realize that some of them were actually in color, believe it or not. And you grow up and there were different ones and they've continued. And he is right about there being stories that seem to go around these giant creatures. And I definitely agree with him on that. I'm very much a fan of this project and I can't wait to see more from it. I'm a little hurt that I wasn't one of his favorite creators. I'm not going to lie. There was a little hurt there that I didn't get offered to be part of it because I would have made a giant story. I would have made a giant monster story, but how exciting is this? You guys don't even understand yet. Let's start throwing out some names, shall we, of the creators who are part of this. Daniel Warner, Chris Enterline, Edo by Eric Palacki, Adam Ferris, and Leslie Atalansky, and then we got the print reward up here is from Chris Yarbrough, and we're going to continue to go with some names here. We got the Amazing Banana Katana by Kevin Rotelli and Rodastek. I'm sorry, I know I'm pronouncing that one wrong. Apologies for that. Then we have the Amazing Kaiju cover available at print reward by Patrick Blaine. You got the story by Garrett Gunn and Nicholas Torres. You have this amazing Dandelion story by Skylar Partridge and Bram Meehan. And I mean, this is just beautiful art. It's actually hard to stay focused. Oh, Alex is actually in the chat room. Actually, just give us a pitch, Alex. Tell us what we're not seeing. You know, tell us about something about the project that no one knows about yet. Make them excited. Drill it home. Tell them something. This is The Path by Malekith and Alex Mayday and Carrie D, I think. This is Raider Man, yeah, by Jay Pipsico. Toro Tortoise by Frankie B. Washington. So, I mean, this is an amazing creative group on this, right? Just great creators, great art, and it's very different. One of the things I love about anthologies, especially anthologies like this, is that you get a lot of different art styles. And that's one of my favorite things about an anthology. Is it really does give you a much, I'd call it a better feel for indie comics, to be honest with you. Because I think a lot of times what it does is it gives us this ability to see creators that we might not necessarily be watching. We might not be seeing these creators otherwise from the circles that we're in. And that's just how it happens. Because sometimes with the circles that you're in, you don't necessarily see it. But I'm a friend with Kevin, so now I'm seeing, and I'm a friend with Alex, so now I'm seeing, you know, stories by, I've never met Skylar Partridge or Bram Meehan. I don't know who they are. But now I'm going to be able to get to see their book. And because it's last rights, I always like to back one Kickstarter that I really like. And this one's been hard for me because, oh man, it looks so good that I do want it. So I can't not get it. So we're going to go ahead and get a printed copy. And sucks to be me that I have to, sorry if this is blocking you guys. Sorry if you guys are shaking with this. Give me 1 second. There we go. And I'm going to be a proud backer. And we're having Facebook issues that we're going to, there we go. Sorry about that, guys. I know you went black for a second. on the screen. We're back, though. And there we go. I've officially backed it. I'm going to tweet about it like I do all the time. Sorry for those of you who got kicked off. We are back live. I've got to remember not to back it that way anymore, because it'll sometimes throw off the video. I'm just checking to make sure that the live feed, yep, live feed's back up. All right. Sorry about that. I've got to remember never to do that. So Kaiju Gods, I'm definitely excited about. Sorry for those of you who got kicked off while we were just doing that. But you guys see, I put my money where my mouth is. I don't just talk about these things. I back Kickstarters. I back too many. One day I'm going to do the opening. See, what happened is I started backing these projects, and I was reading them. Actually, a lot. And then just one day the Irma thing came up, and I just ran out of the habit. Now I look at it. I must have like 40 books I got to open. There's going to be a giant open the box special where I just am going to open everything. And we're going to check out some amazing stuff that I got. That's what it's going to be. And this won't be here in time for that show. But I mean, it is amazing. And I'm just in awe of the art. Honestly, that's why I had to get it printed. Sometimes you see something and you just need it printed. Digital's not going to do it. And I can't wait to get my hands on this. It is a little bit of a uphill battle still, because there's 8,000 to go. Well, less than 8,000, but it's not impossible. And I've seen a rally like this happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a minute. We're going to listen to the video again. This time with the emphasis on really getting to know the project. I really want to give it some love.
Hey everybody, thanks for taking the time to check out the Kaiju Gods Kickstarter. My name is Alex Madej, the head editor of Kaiju Gods. Kaiju Gods is an upcoming anthology with 14 stories, over 40 creators from all around the world, telling original kaiju tales. The reason I wanted to make this anthology was there's something always exciting about kaiju and giant monsters. And even though the phrase kaiju was only coined like around the time of Godzilla, giant strange monsters have always been a part of storytelling. There's just something about giant strange monsters that show up out of unexplained places, whether it's the ocean or a cave or from space, from religion to ancient times. There's always seems to be these giant strange monsters that are part of stories and lore. And when I think about that, that's just always been a part of humanity and storytelling from all places, all civilizations. That really excites me. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to get a collection of some of the greatest minds and my favorite creators together and see what they could do with the concept of giant monsters. I went out and started talking to all the people I know that I wanted to get involved. And it turned out that a lot of people actually had giant monster stories that they wanted to tell, or kaiju tales. I think kaiju means something different to everybody. From maybe being scary to enjoying just the mystery of a new giant creature and not knowing what it could do next. The thing about a book this size is there's a lot of people involved and it costs a lot of money. This money will go towards print costs and distribution costs to have enough copies for us to bring to cons and sell on our websites and on our stores, and to you for backing us. So we're very proud of this and we want to get this out. Thank you for checking out our video, and I hope you'll be able to back us and enjoy some kaiju with us.
Okay, so I mean, whoops, almost tripped on one of my son's toys. So, amazing project. We can all agree on it. There's a lot of art here. So it's going to take a lot. I mean, we're going to need to get a little active on this, and that's going to be part of getting on social media and doing things like I'm about to do. All right, so I'm going to put my honest feelings in. This is what you should do when you back a Kickstarter. Take a minute and be like, wow, the art in this project is stupendous. I needed to get a physical copy for my collection. And it is about giant monsters. And then, of course, I'm going to go in here and fix all my fuck-ups. And then I'm going to put it on Facebook. And that's how you do it. That's how you support people. This is the way of the future, guys. A share, don't cut it. That's last year. That's last year. We're past that now. We're past that now. It's no longer just a share. You can't just do it. It's got to be more than just a share. It's got to be something exciting. It's got to be something that engages the people that you know. You want to make people want the comic book that you want. So when you see this comic book and you get excited and you go, I need that comic, tell your friends why you need that comic. There's a reason you hit the back button. If the back button's helping out my friend, fuck it. Go out there and be like, yo, look, I have Nicholas is my friend here. Back this campaign. Alex is someone that's on my friends list. Back this campaign. Garrett is one of the people on my friends list. Can you back this campaign or just check it out? But when you have art like this, when you have storytelling like this, I mean, come on, man. How can't you be excited? I like the colors in it. I like the backing in it and all that. It's definitely something that's fantastic. I really am a huge fan of what they did with this project. And I want you guys to be a fan too, because it's not just about me, but it's also about building a bigger indie comic book community. And we could do that together by showcasing these amazing projects. So I hope that you take the time in the next couple days and help Kaiju Gods make it to the funded list. It is not a hard thing to have happen. 3 days to go. Let me tell you, I've seen Kickstarters raise $20,000 in 24 hours. This is not something that's impossible. This is something that we can all make happen. We're going to move on to our final Kickstarter of the evening, Fetish Baby's Mentor Search. This is our third date with the readers. Time to get freaky. Barbara isn't looking to be saved. She's looking to be taught. Will Bruce say yes to being her mentor? Can Barb regain her fetishes? Find out on Kickstarter now. And here we go. Here's Kickstarter. Then we'll do the video, and then we'll go up. And it is boom. Hey guys, I'm here at a Comic-Con. I'm on the road. We're talking about Fetish Baby's issue 3 already, Mentor Search, coming to Kickstarter right now. And being on the road, I've met a lot of amazing people, and it's because of you guys who have backed this project that we're here today. We've already had Fetish Babies become a big hit. We're about to hit the road with Aftermath, the Mentor Search. This is, of course, a young woman's journey through the New York City fetish underground. And it is up to you to help us get that third issue out and help us remain on the road at the Comic-Con so I can meet people and I can bring the book to change perspectives of what people think about people who have a fetish. Because thanks to certain movies that are coming out right now, we're looked at in a very bad light right now, and I want to change that. It's all about creating a narrative that explains the humanity in fetish. So join me and let's make a change in the world of fetish and learn about something some of you might not know. And for those who are into it like I am, it'll be something that you really appreciate because we put a lot of energy into it. Thank you for joining us. Okay. So, why am I making a book about fetish? Why is that something I do? Well, there's the philosophy behind the story. That philosophy behind the story is that this story is dedicated to those born with a fetish for BDSM. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing because I can tell you off the top of my head. I'm going to give you some honesty. And the honesty hopefully helps you guys understand why I did this. I grew up I was born in the 70s, late 70s, 78. And that wasn't on purpose, just it was ironic timing, the sound, the duck sound. But okay, so when I was a kid going into puberty, it was the late 80s, early 90s, and I knew that I liked the idea of girls tied up. And I knew that the time period, late 80s, I was only 11. It was scary as shit to me, to be honest with you. And I say this when I go to Comic-Cons, when I meet people. I always make the joke that, you know, I was 11 and I saw, I did what any 11-year-old would do when you see something disturbing. I didn't tell my parents. Last people you want to talk to are your parents. Why would you tell your parents? When I see my teacher, I want to tie her up. You know, it's not something that you want to actually talk about. And it's weird. So what you do is you go to the library. And at that time, we didn't have the internet. So I went to the library. And when I went to the library, I found out that a fetish was this thing I had. And because of the time period which the information came out on, I was considered a freak. I was someone who's dangerous. It was something that when people had it, they shouldn't be trusted. And because that I shouldn't be trusted came to be a thing, it was scary to me. I always make the joke that I started to debate whether or not I need to dye my hair green and become the Joker. And, you know, start a gang of menacing people because I was into bondage. Luckily, over the next couple of years, the internet was born into what we know it is today. It was slower, but I got to meet people who had fetishes. I got to begin to understand it. And I really wanted to always give back and tell people that they're not freaks and they're not throwaways. And I also got to know the dirty side of the fetish community. And I also got to see the imperfections of the fetish community. So I also know the ins and outs of it. As someone like, I'm turning 40 this year. And that means for 29 years of my life, I've been into fetish. And to be honest, I've been going to fetish clubs since I was 17. Because when I was 17, I looked like I was 20. I had a full goatee. No mustache, but the full goatee got me into it. And I just had enough mustache that looked like I was styling it. So I was able to get to these fetish clubs and meet all these people into fetish. And not everyone is as cool as I am, and some people are cooler. And it's just an amazing mix of people. They're doctors, they're regular human beings. That's the point. It's not what you think it is. These are regular people, and they just happen to have things called fetish. Now, as opposed to what the general idea of what a fetish is, fetishes aren't something that you really, really like. It's a little deeper than that. It's something that's a calling that you can't ignore. A lot of people go, well, what about, you know, pedophilia and all that? And the thing I always explain is pedophilia is aphilia. Aphilia is something that is either a danger to yourself or a danger to society. Fetish is something different. See, the basic idea of a fetish is it's something that compels you, and usually sexually, but doesn't have to be sexually, to do something. While aphilia is something that you know is wrong and you do it anyway. It's something that makes you override doing something. Like, everyone knows you shouldn't mess with children, and with the name fetish babies, we've been confused with that. And I just want to go on the record. I think that's disgusting. I think anyone who does anything with a child needs a bullet in the head. And it's just that simple. I don't think they belong amongst us. And if someone has a problem with that, oh, well, so be it. That's how I feel. I will never apologize for that. And I wanted to make Fetish Baby something powerful. The name is very important, as in regards to the fact the reason that the name is Fetish Babies is the fact that it's a very important moment in the story. Basically, the gentleman, Bruce, who Barbara is seeking to be her mentor in this current issue, is somewhat of a person who's been around. He's a little older than Barbara. I won't tell you how old because there's a joke about it in the book, but he is older than Barbara. And it's one of those things where, I mean, how do I frame this? Okay, so Bruce is going through his own story that's going to become big in the 4th issue. So Bruce has got this big story coming where you're going to hear a lot about things that he went through, but you don't know it in this. The 4th issue is, of course, going to be an anthology. I'll talk about that in a second. So Bruce, in a moment of anger, because he saw her come in and he saw her, what she was going to do, he knew she was going to get taken advantage of. And there's some guilt that stays with him over that because he doesn't step in sooner. And he, obviously, for those who read the first book, you'll understand it better. But she gets herself in some trouble. He steps in. And when she says, I don't know how I could have gotten myself in that situation, because she had Googled BDSM, she thought she was a pro at BDSM. She thought she knew everything from a Google search. And you can't know everything from a Google search. And I'll explain just a little bit more in a second. But she got taken advantage of, and this left a reeling for Aftermath. And in Aftermath, we really explored that. And here we are in the 3rd book, and she's looking for a mentor to save her. Now, the fetish babies thing is one of the things that Barbara had said when she had said, I don't know how this could have happened to me. Bruce snapped at her and says, because you're stupid fetish babies. To Bruce, a fetish baby is someone who runs around like a baby would, not knowing what they're doing, stumbling around and getting into trouble. And they need to be watched over. So it was a dig, and the dig becomes something she wants to turn into something positive. So she makes a blog called Fetish Babies. So the name was something that people had made a big deal of. But we've gotten past that now. And I'm proud to say that there are people in SCAT, and for those who don't know what SCAT is, it's the Giant Art Institute, who are talking to me at a Comic-Con about how much they love the story and how they're actually talking about it in the school. I don't know how many, but even one person talking about my book, and there were 3 people in front of me, so I know it was more than one. Even 3 people talking about it was amazing. Another amazing part of this book, and someone had said, well, why do we make comic books today? We're just rehashing things. We're just telling the same stories, that kind of post. And I disagree, at least for me. I won't speak for anyone but myself. I'm creating books that haven't been created before. There's never been a fetish book, to my understanding and awareness, and I am aware of Sunstone. There's a difference between us and Sunstone, but Sunstone's really good. I'm not knocking them. It's not 50 Shades of Grey, which sucks. Sunstone is about a lesbian relationship, while our book is not necessarily about relationships as much as it is about humanity behind fetish, what people go through. I think both are worth reading, honestly. I'm not going to say that it's not worth reading. Sunstone's worth it, but I think we are too. And I've had people come hug me after they've read the book and got it on Kickstarter, especially Aftermath. We've only had it out for a few weeks, and I've gotten so much positive feedback. I've gotten people thanking me for writing the book. And that's because of the passion that went in the project. And a lot of times on my Kickstarters, I try not to share a lot of art, and that's probably bad on my part. I don't try to over-sexualize anything. And I do that on purpose because the story isn't about sex. It's about a fetish. And there's sexuality involved, and there's things. And, of course, our main character is a beautiful girl, but that's also a vehicle to tell a story. I want her beauty to be part of her getting away with things and getting into trouble more. So there's a reason for everything in my stories. It's been thought out. And one of the biggest compliments I ever got was people asked me if it was real. This was based on a real person because I wanted it grounded in reality. So much so that I've reached out to my friends. In the second book, we got to introduce Sir Victor. Sir Victor is a real human being who does classes for BDSM safety in New York City under Dom, Subs, and Friends. In this issue, we welcomed in Tribe. Tribe puts on the best parties in New York City, honestly, hands down. This is the Halloween Suspension Tribe Party, which is amazing, usually the best one of the year. And we also introduced in this book one of the founding members, Powder. Powder is a great human being, honestly. He is one of the people I miss talking to more frequently because in New York City, me and Lissa used to go to the parties, and she would bring cookies. And we got to know the community really well because we were giving out cookies because I wanted to build confidence in Alyssa. I thought she had a skill. I still think she has a skill. I think she could open up a business selling cookies. I don't want to show her how much people love their cookies, and they love their cookies. And we got to know people. We got to know the community, and Powder is one of the most genuine people in the community that you'll meet. He's a very protective person. He makes sure his parties are a place of protection, and that was why it was so important I had him in this book. And this tells you real places. The Fetish Tribe has events at actual place that this book takes place in. The things that are shown are somewhat factual. We did add a little bit of pepper to the story. In other words, a little more sexuality. People kind of complained about it, but I didn't want anything forced. The 4th issue, as a teaser, will be, there is a story in there that's going to be pretty hot. Pretty hot, and it builds, and that's the point of this, is I wanted it to build because this was always meant to be an anthology. There was a 2-year plan. Sadly, that 2-year plan had been interrupted by Irma, and that was 2 years after launch of the first Fetish Babies. Now we're a year later, and we're still going to hit the 2-year mark with the anthology coming out, but we're never going to do a 4th book. So we printed 1,000 copies, and to be honest with you, issue number 1 had 300 copies lost. And we're running out of copies of issue number 1. Every day that we sell one, there's one less. We're not reprinting issue 1. Over 400 copies were destroyed. I think 50 copies went out in the first Kickstarter, and then other Kickstarters have now progressively gotten rid of it. We've offered it in other Kickstarters. There have been, counting PDF files, I believe to date, 500 copies given out across the world. And I still have people on Sinsful trying to get it. So it's becoming something of a conversation where I'm going to events and people are like, I've heard of Fetish Babies. What is it about? Like, people said, I've heard people talk about it. And that's just so amazing, because I want the philosophy to change the narrative. See, all this that I put in was to tell a great story. And even though Irma ruined the original business plan, it was always the plan to just change the mentality of what it is to have a fetish. It's not leather-clad people trying to hurt each other. There's something more. Remember I told you couldn't just Google BDSM and understand it? The reason is you don't understand how something is until you feel it. You might have the urge. You might feel like this is something I want in my life. But until you go through it, you don't understand it. There's so much more. You don't even understand. I mean, this is just one part of a bigger story. I'm going to tell you something that I don't talk about publicly very much, and this is just for you guys who watch the video right now. This is part of a bigger story. It's part of something that's going to be known as Fetishism Tales. Fetish Babies is volume 1. And that's all I'm going to give you right now. I will say that in volume 2, most of the characters come back for volume 2. And that's a huge thing if you've met the characters and you know what it is. Most of the characters, good and bad, will be back for volume 2. And it's a continued story. The reason for the name change, of course, Fetish Babies, is about beginnings. The second book, which I'm not going to give the name away to yet, I do give it away at Comic-Cons, though. If you want to come see me at a Comic-Con, I'll whisper it into your ear. It sounded dirty, but take it as you will. But kidding aside, I have been telling people the name, and people love it. It's definitely the progression of the story. That's Fetish Babies. And the reason I didn't ask for a lot on this Kickstarter, I really haven't pushed, is because I know I'm gearing up toward the anthology. And you see, I backed my own Kickstarter for $1 because it's ran under Alyssa's account. So it's not technically against the rules. Nothing says you can't back it if you're not running it. But I backed it for $1 to send it out to all my friends to let them know. Now, we've doubled our goal. I'm not complaining, but I'm going to do a little bit more. I'm calling it the Blitz. I waited for the last 7 days, and that's what we're in. We're in 5 days to go. So I'm going to push. I'm going to push hard the next couple of days about this. But in the end, I also know that I'm pushing towards the anthology. So I didn't have a lot of bells and whistles. I didn't have any real extras in this. I didn't want to do anything too big and grandiose because I have the anthology in the pipeline for later this year. So that is the Fetish Baby story so far. And I hope you guys take a chance on it. I hope that I've been really proud of people complimenting me on the writing, on the art, and even the art is reflective. We started off with Satane Zillion. I'll go through the artist timeline right now with you guys, and then I'm going to cut off because I realize I'm going on because it's my baby. We've had artists like Carlos Villas and Chris Madd involved in it to do some extra work, but the main artists were Satane Zillion, amazing creator, brought it to life in our first book. Still, people are in love with that book. In our second book, we had Tamatra come on. She did an amazing job. She brought to life Fetish Babies, and she did it in a very painful story, in a very just amazing fashion. And that was to reflect the fact that she had felt like she was going, our main character, Barbara, felt like she was going through the after effects of abuse and how it was affecting even the world around her seemed out of focus and kind of grainy. And that was kind of the art that we were aiming for. Chuck, of course, is the proud proofreader of the actual book. And now he is also he used to be the Written Sins editor. He is now the editor of Indie Advocates. And of course, introducing this book, Artist Search, before Mentor Search was Damien Alvarez. I don't know why Alves, isn't up there. But Damien amazingly brought to life Fetish Babies in just a beautiful fashion. I was blown away by it. So I definitely think it's worth, it's worth the money. It's worth the price of admission. It is a great story. I'm converting people who don't even like fetish into fans of the book, and that says it all. This is Fetish Baby's Aftermath. It's 5 days. I'd appreciate the support, even if you share it, even if you donate $1, just to help me keep going to different events and different, Comic-Cons and being able to afford to spread the message of Fetish Babies. Now, before we go back to the list and sound off, I'm going to do Kaiju Gods. I had an update. So we're gonna do this. Kaiju Gods. Right? Alex Mayday had said while I was talking about Fetish Babies, Kaiju Gods is an amazing collection. Short 10-page original kaiju stories made by some awesome people. There's poems, comics, pinups, all sorts of fun stuff. It's our love letter to the kaiju, and there is something in there for anyone. People with fetishes. Bud, why are you all still reading? Go back to it now. I don't know if there are people with fetishes in it. That's kind of cool. I mean, I didn't know. It's not. That's what I meant. I didn't know there was fetish in it. Now I want to read it even more. But seriously, I dig it. I mean, Kaiju Gods, awesome. Why haven't you backed it? That's a great question. Why haven't you shared it? Why haven't you talked about how awesome it is? These are giant freaking monsters battling on a planet, destroying everything. You know you like it. But that's the end of our show. Let's go through the list and see what we featured this week on Kickstarter Last Ride. We had Mentor Search, our third date with readers. Time to get freaky. Barbara isn't looking to be saved. She's looking to be taught. Will Bruce say yes to her being her mentor? Can Barb regain her fetishes? It's up to you guys. Help me keep this project going. Kaiju Gods. Kaiju Gods is a comic anthology of 14 stories, 180 plus pages, over 40 creators, all original kaiju content. It is a collection of short 10-page original kaiju stories made by some awesome people. There's poems, comics, pinups, all sorts of fun stuff. It is the love letter to kaiju stories, and there is something in there for everyone, even people with fetishes. A nightmare on Egg Street. Something sinister is haunting the dreams of local teens in a nightmare on Egg Street. There's also the amazing fact that this is brought to life by Swampline Comics. Swampline Comics has done the most amazing of books, so check it out today. Multi-Larceny, a science-fi crime comic of infinitive potential. Multi-Larceny one-shot comic, a comic story with a science fiction twist. Heroes, victims, villains, connected in a race of time and space. And for those of you who are about to do a Kickstarter and want to know how to make the best one you can right now on Amazon, do not pass go, just go straight to Amazon. Kickstarter for the Independent Creator, second edition. Don't get the first edition. Get the updated second edition. A practical and informative guide to crowdfunding. We're going to put it in the links right now. This is made by the amazing Madeline Holling Rising, who you guys might remember from the latest Kickstarter that she did, the Boston Metaphysical Society. And it's great to be able to hear from someone you know who's nailing it on Kickstarter. I mean, I keep telling her she's got to get the book in audio, but I'm going to break down and I'm going to buy the book. I've heard people talk about it. I'm interested in it. I'm going to do it. I'll read it after I set up for cons every day. I want it. I want it to check it out and see and know what it's about. So unless someone wants to read me the book, I'm in for that too. If someone wants to read me the book, because with my dyslexia and a 3-year-old, it's very hard for me to read at times. I'll figure it out though. I will figure it out. All right, guys. Remember, supporting Kickstarter only takes a single dollar. $1. Uno dinero. I don't know. I'm saying that wrong, aren't I? That's why I only speak English. Show support so much for all of those Spanish classes. Show support attracts attention, helps funds projects, supports indie creators, and helps create new worlds. Also, every time you back a Kickstarter, even for $1, like I showed you on my Kickstarter, when I did that, $1 was able to show everyone who follows me about my project. It is the cheapest way to advertise. If people are following you, I have 60 followers. They all saw it. Some of them were like, Rob, you're a freak. I love you, but it's not my thing. And I understand that. But some of you have been amazing to back it. Today, tomorrow, through the weekend, spend some time on these Kickstarters. Find the one that you like. And please, at least support one for $1. My name is Mr. Anderson. And this has been Kickstarter Talk Issue 11. Fetish Mentors and Kaiju Gods. Thank you for tuning in. You guys are fantastic. I know you're going to do the right thing and talk about some indie comics this weekend and support creating new worlds. I will see you at Kickstarter Talk later this week.